Welcome to Compassion's Compass, Module 3, Equanimity. Among the three sets of contemplative skills in Compass, the first, which we covered in the last module, is the foundational mindfulness skills. Now, with Equanimity, we begin to delve into the core compassion-building skills. There are 8 core compassion skills. Each one builds on the one that comes before. There's an emotional logic to them. We start with equanimity because that helps us so that as we develop compassion, it's inclusive and its extent is vast. Gratitude helps uplift the mind, especially if we're depleted. Forgiveness helps us heal from past wounds and anger. Kindness helps overcome anger so that our minds are dwelling with a universal kind of kind feeling for everyone. And that leads way to universal compassion. Giving and taking is a technique to help reduce self-focus and to cultivate a resilient form of compassion that can turn hardships into emotional growth. Activation helps take us from a passive state with our compassion into actually putting it into use. And goal-focused compassion gives our compassion direction. Within the 11 Compass modules, these 8 core compassion skills are covered through Module 3 up through Module 10. There are 4 contemplative methods utilized in Compass. The first is mindfulness, which sets the foundation. That is followed by a review or a glance meditation in which the subjects covered before are quickly reviewed to restore our thoughts about them. The third step is an analytical meditation on the skill being focused on. In this case, it'll be equanimity. And then the fourth step is a placement meditation after contemplating equanimity or whatever the skill is that helps our mind become familiar with it. So what is equanimity? It can be defined as an unbiased mind focus on our shared humanity and everyone's equal wish to find happiness and to avoid suffering. Focusing in this way can counteract bias and intolerance and alienation. It's put first among the compassion skills to foster connectedness and an expanded social focus. So why is equanimity important for developing compassion? As mentioned before, it can broaden the focus of our compassion and make it more inclusive. The opposite of equanimity is bias. Bias impairs our objectivity and the scope of our compassion. This has actually been researched. Research suggests that stereotyping and bias develop in childhood and might be largely shaped via educational experiences, social experiences, and even legal policies that may influence it. Social prejudice creates intergroup conflict, disparities, discrimination, and such biases often operate covertly and unconsciously so that they are difficult to detect and control. If we're under the sway of implicit bias as we try to develop compassion, what it will do is cause us to develop a biased form of compassion that favors one group over another. And that can cause more division and divisiveness rather than a universal kind of compassion. There are researchers who have studied equanimity. Again, it can be called an evenness of mind. It can refer to the ability to stay unruffled by the ups and downs of life, or in the case of building compassion, to the ability to stay open to a wide variety of people from various backgrounds and cultures. As helping professionals, we must learn to embrace diversity and eliminate our own bias in order to be available to diverse clients. For people in general, as I mentioned, equanimity helps prevent compassion from becoming biased. One team found that equanimity is a support for emotional regulation. In fact, some mental health therapists use it for their clients for this reason. Another group found that equanimity is helpful for disengaging from emotional pushes and pulls. The more somebody practices mindfulness, the more they can tolerate the ups and downs of their emotions and find a middle ground in their mind. And as I mentioned, another group found that practicing equanimity is a support for developing compassion in general. So let's give it a try. It's always good to start with a little bit of mindfulness practice, just noticing your breathing, sitting comfortably. Notice if it's a long breath or a short breath. Checking in with how your body's doing. If there's tension anywhere in your body, breathing in calm, releasing the tension as you breathe out, letting your body start to settle. Noticing your feelings as you breathe. Allow. Notice where the tension is being held in the body, where the emotion is living in the body. Soothe. You can imagine breathing in joy, breathing out sorrow, letting the emotions start to settle. Focusing your awareness on the present moment and your breath. Recognizing what comes up in your mind with some inquisitiveness, allowing it without identifying with it. As you switch from mindfulness to equanimity, it's good to first touch in with your feelings of wanting to be okay, wanting to feel happy, not wanting to feel any kind of discomfort or suffering. Your wish to be included, valued, respected, not wanting to be excluded. And as you start to get in touch with your own feelings, bring to mind others who you know. It can be family members, people you work with, people who you know. And for a moment, contemplate their own similarity to you in wanting to be happy, not wanting to suffer, wanting to be included, valued, loved, respected. And then expand that contemplation to include people in your community. Everybody just wanting to be happy, not to suffer, wanting respect, love, being valued. And then expand your focus to include everyone across the country, around the world. Not only humans, but all form of life is trying to find well-being and avoid suffering. And just let your mind settle on that for a while. How wonderful it would be if people could just treat each other with respect and kindness and friendship. So equanimity doesn't have to take a long time to practice, but it's good to touch in with that after some mindfulness practice to prepare your mind for the next step which will be covered in Module 4, the practice of gratitude. You can learn more about Compassion's Compass by reading the book, or you can sign up for a free mini course at compassmethods.com.